Hello, comrades, and of course, the Committee for Workers International, the CWI, is this year celebrating the 50th anniversary since our foundation. It was founded in April on the 20th and 21st in a small pub in London, attended by a handful of comrades from England and Wales, Scotland, and of course, some other countries, Germany, and some visitors from Sri Lanka and a couple of other countries. It was 50 years ago, but during that 50 years, we've had, as the Committee for Workers International, 50 years of active intervention in the class struggle, 50 years of intervening in youth movements, of struggling against racism, of fighting to defend the rights of women and all oppressed minorities. We've been involved throughout those 50 years in struggles all around the world, in Europe, the United States, Asia, Africa, and Latin America. And as participants in the struggle of the working class and the youth and the oppressed internationally, we've also conducted another struggle, and that has been a political struggle, which has been crucial for the Committee for Workers International. It's been a political struggle to defend the program that would advance the interests of the working class and all oppressed peoples around the world. It's been a struggle to defend the methods of Marxism over the course of the last 50 years. And that is something that is particularly pertinent to the situation that the new generation now finds itself in, the need to defend a principled Marxist program, Marxist analysis of the current world situation. We've had great achievements during those 50 years. It was the militant in Britain, the section of the CWI at the time, that was responsible for leading the mass non-payment campaign of millions in Britain, which brought down the Thatcher government ultimately. We've seen the tremendous struggle prior to that in the Liverpool City Council. 50,000 workers on a demonstration, a one-day citywide general strike during that enormous battle as well. Prior to that, we built the Young Socialist, the Labour Party Young Socialist, when we were working in that particular organisation. We built it from an organisation which was frankly a rump to an organisation of 10,000 mainly young workers at that particular time, until the right-wing pro-capitalist wing of the party, of Blair, of Kinnock and others, took over the party and shut it down. But not just there. Our history has extended beyond the country in which the CWI was initially based, that of Britain itself. We developed a powerful base in Ireland with the election of MPs, with the election of councillors, the leading of the non-payment of the water campaign. We had in Sri Lanka a tremendous participation in the 1980s of the public sector general strike, of an heroic struggle to defend the rights of the Tamils minority, defend their right of self-determination. We've had our comrades participating from the very inception of the struggle in South Africa against the apartheid regime. We've been participating more recently in South Africa in the tremendous strike of the Marikana miners. We were present in the struggle against the Pinochet dictatorship in Chile, and many other instances where the working class has moved into combat and attempted to struggle against their oppressors. Now, we have a long history, as I'm sure our viewers will be aware. The Committee for Workers International was founded for clear reasons, because we saw the preceding Trotskyist organization, the USFI as it was at that time, degenerate politically. It turned away from the working class as being the decisive force for struggle to bring about the socialist revolution. Throughout our 50-year of history, what have we seen? We've seen a whole change in the world situation, not once, but on many occasions. Initially, we had the post-war upswing of capitalism that followed the Second World War. That brought with it new changes. It was responsible fundamentally for how Trotskyists reacted in a negative way in the USFI towards the consequences of the post-war upswing itself. We saw another major change in the world situation, that in 1992 with the collapse of the former Stalinist regimes in the old USSR and Eastern Europe. That opened up an entirely new world situation. It was followed, of course, by a massive period of ideological offensive by the ruling class and capitalism, and a collapse ideologically of those on the official left of the international workers' movement. We saw then, of course, the period of optimism that capitalism propagated, which was completely false from beginning to end, as we warned about, and the era of so-called globalization was ushered in the 1990s. But that was broken by a new world situation, which then opened in 2008. And throughout that period, it's been necessary to defend the methods of Marxism, but to also be prepared to reappraise and change how we view the world and what is taking place in the world. And in particular, to draw the conclusions of what is necessary for the tasks of the working class at different stages. That was particularly important in the 1990s and the era that we're now in, when we see the ideological collapse of the left, where all of the former capitalist workers' parties, the socialist parties, the Labour parties, were transformed in the course of the late 1980s and 1990s into out-and-out capitalist formations. That required the CWI to have a fundamental reappraisal of the world situation, and we have done that extremely successfully, using the method of Marxism, not repeating abstract formula and slogans which don't necessarily apply to a new situation. And now we'd say we face a new world situation, post-COVID, in reality, in terms of the world that has opened up today. We see capitalism in its death agony unfolding at this particular stage. We see the horrors of the war in Gaza and, of course, the Ukraine. We're in an era of dystopian capitalism. It's horror without end and attack after attack on the working peoples. The tragedy is the ideological collapse and the failure of the former workers' leaders to offer a real socialist alternative. Frustration with this complexities in the world situation at each turn historically has provoked debate, discussion within the workers' movement and within the revolutionary Trotskyist movement as well. It's led to pressures of opportunism, which have not been escaped by the CWI. It's led some in the past to break from our ranks as they capitulated to the pressures of opportunism, resulting from frustration, and looked away from the organized working class as the key force to transform society. The CWI, throughout its 50 years of history, has resisted in its majority those pressures of opportunism, the attempt to look towards a shortcut, the pressures of ultra-leftism, of the necessity of maintaining a balanced, coherent political and principled program which is going to reach out and appeal to the sections of the working class and the youth in particular. The task the working class is faced with today is the need to rebuild its political organizations. The absence of mass parties of the working class has left globally an incredible vacuum in the situation. We have raised the banner of the need for new mass parties of the working class, coupled with the essential, crucial ingredients of the need to build mass revolutionary Trotskyist and Marxist parties as well. And that's the task that we face today, to reconquer the support for the ideas of socialism as an alternative to capitalism, to rebuild the workers' movement politically, to rebuild the revolutionary movement internationally. And the CWI is optimistic, imbued with determination and a solid political and theoretical understanding of how these processes will unfold and the program that is necessary to take the working class forward to victory internationally. And therefore, comrades, in the next few days, with pride, we will publish videos featuring veterans of our movement, which have been involved over decades in struggle in Sri Lanka, South Africa, America, Latin America, Africa, and of course Europe as well. They will illustrate and reflect how our comrades were brought into struggle and came into the ranks of the CWI on the basis of experience and being involved in the struggles of the working class. And we would appeal to those watching out of interest, don't just watch and observe, If you agree with our political analysis, visit our website, socialistworld.net. Look at our analysis. If you agree with the program and the fighting attempts that we are making to build a revolutionary international organization, we'd appeal to you to contact us and join with us so we can move beyond 50 years of celebrating our tremendous achievements, but towards looking forward to even greater victories and greater steps forward for the building of a revolutionary Trotskyist international in the course of the next few years. The necessity for such an organization is now greater than ever. We have an historic obligation to the masses around the world to ensure that such a force is built in order to bury capitalism once and for all and open the prospects of building a really human society for the first time in history, based on equality, opportunity, comradeship and cooperation, a socialist world. So forward for the struggles of the working class and forward to the next period of struggle for building the Committee for a Workers' International.